Good evening, Fernwood. It is your stay-at-home dad bod owning pal Neil, and it's time for us to have a gut check with another episode of Mary Hartman, Mary Hartman. Today we are watching episode 183 from December 15th, 1976. Let's see what happened yesterday. In the morning, Mary was doing her best to kill a bug. She was not having an easy time of it, but then Wanda showed up and gladly announced that she and Merle are getting married. Mary offered to let them use their home for the wedding, though there was just a moment of ambivalence. And Wanda runs out so that she can announce the wedding to more people so that Merle can't weasel out of it later. Tom comes home and Mary helps him catch up on the latest news, and then mentions that she went to the shop that he recommended she go to buy a new dress, and she's having one personally made for her. And that was a thrill for Tom to hear. After which, Mary gives Tom the can of Raid, and he figures out his own way to kill a bug. Next door at the Gimbles, Mary meets Philip, who was formerly Little Garth. Philip is bothered that Mary happens to know that he has been having nighttime incontinence. But basically they get to know each other a bit. Mary leaves and lets Pat know that not only is there a wedding, but that Pat is going to do all the cooking. And then we end with a party for Merle's election, and a lot of things happen. Of course, Merle is the winner. He is now going to be mayor of Fernwood, and it starts with Garth being angry that he wasn't mentioned or thanked for his part in the campaign, and he takes that out on Patty, who responds firmly, pulls her arm away from Garth and says, "You're not going to touch me here." Garth says he's going to get her later, though. Merle and Wanda breeze in, though he's somewhat cool with Garth. Loretta offers some sex advice to Wanda for after their wedding. Tom waits eagerly for Mary to show off her surprise, which is that new dress that he heard about. And she comes in wearing a dress that looks exactly like the things that she wears all of the time, though it is made by Tufts and Tweeds. Tom is a bit put off by this and makes sure that Mary hears it. Pat and Mary introduce Philip and Heather to each other, and they get along just like oil and water. Kathy asks Tom for help for her mother because she's not able to pay her rent, but Tom says that all of his money is tied up in some new property that he just bought. Merle pulls Garth aside for a quiet talk, and then fires him for not trusting in Merle's vision. And Mary confronts Tom about the purchase of property that he didn't talk about. He says that the property is going to double in time, and Mary asks if it's too late to pull out of that purchase. And that's where our party ends, and that's where our episode ends. Let's get this Wednesday started right.
Mary Hartman! Mary Hartman!
Oh, please, Lord, come on, let him just call me. One little ring.
Hi.
Mary.
Can I come in?
Sure, hon. Come on in.
Hi, sweetie.
Hi.
Listen, I've really been thinking about it, and I really don't think it's healthy for you to pine away for Charlie the way you've been pining away for him. It's not good to pine. So, I remembered that I had cut out an article from Women's Day about 2 years ago. So I checked my files, and sure enough, it's called 7 Ways to Beat the Blues. Okay? So while I'm checking my files, I notice again 2 months later, I cut out the exact same article, printed in the Reader's Digest, condensed. 3 Ways to Beat the Blues.
So that's what you brought me, that article here?
This?
That's it?
Oh, no. No, this is a recipe for brownies. I thought that maybe you should cook. You know, cooking can be very emotionally uplifting, especially if you're depressed. I mean, I think that's why some of the really famous depressed people are such good cooks.
I don't really feel like cooking, Mary. Thanks.
Well, maybe it's the wrong recipe, Loretta. Why don't you try this recipe? This is how to make shrunken heads out of apples. That's what this is. Now, these are not, I don't want to frighten you here, these are not shrunken heads. They just look like shrunken heads. They're just dried apples. That's all they are.
Oh, Mary, thank you so much for thinking of me. But I really don't feel like shrinking no heads. No offense.
Oh, no. Okay. Okay, well, then we'll stick with the blues. Now, I wish I could just remember all the 7 ways. Now, I think, I'm not sure about this, but I think I remember 5 of them. 5. Now, I know the first one. The first one is, when you get up in the morning, the first thing you do is you get out of bed. That's the first one.
Well,
because if you're blue and you stay in bed, you get bluer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know, Mary, I know, because, see, look at me. I did that. I mean, I'm up and at 'em, out of bed.
Yeah. Well, then let's see, I'm wrong about that one now. Gee, I wish I could remember the next 2. But number 4, okay? We'll go to number 4. Number 4 is whistle a happy tune, which I can't do because of my overbite.
Music already is my life, Mary. Well, I don't know, maybe not my life. I mean, Charlie's my life. But, Mary, music is already the second most important thing in my life.
The next one. You're going to love the next one. Do all the chores you've been saving for a rainy day in the sun. That just means, clean out the closets, straighten up the drawers, clean out the junk in the kitchen. It's stuff like that.
Mary.
Sounds like fun, doesn't it?
Mary, the least thing in the whole wide world that I feel like doing in this, the darkest time of my very young life, the very least thing I feel like doing, Mary, is house cleaning.
Let me see if I can remember number 6, okay? Number 6. I got it. I got number 6. Discuss things with your mate, which you can't do because that's why you're depressed, because that's why unless, Loretta, maybe you'd consider me.
Mary, I want you to know that I really appreciate the loving kindness that's behind all of what you're saying to me here today. And this probably is the hour of my deepest sorrow in my life, but unbeknownst to you, you're making my sorrow just a teeny-weeny bit deeper.
Gee, I wish I could remember those other 2 ways. I mean, they were the best. I mean, if I recall that, I mean, they were terrific. They were terrific. They were just terrific. So my last suggestion to you is to go see Dr. Bob Gilroy.
Who? Who is it?
Dr. Gilroy. He used to work at the plant as a psychologist. I went to him, Loretta, and he did me absolutely no good at all. But my problems were of a much more disgusting nature.
Well, I don't know, Mary, about this man, this Dr. Gilroy. I don't think that's public for me.
Loretta, would you trust me? Have I led you wrong yet?
Here we go, Dr. Gilroy. I just got us a few little treats, some lifesavers and Cracker Jacks and marshmallows, everything, in case you're hungry.
No, thank you. Normally, I don't make house calls, Mrs. Haggers. It's just that when Mrs. Hartman called me, you see, I've felt somewhat guilty about the Hartmans.
Oh, did you do something bad to them?
Well, let's just say I lost my professional distance dealing with both Tom and Mary.
Oh, I don't think you should feel bad about that. I mean, what, move your office or something over the other side of town?
I mean, I just let my own feelings get in the way of helping them deal with their problems. Oh. But I've learned from that, even psychologists are human.
Oh, really?
And so I think that now I have the objectivity not only to help, but to listen. So I want you to feel perfectly free to tell me what's on your mind.
Okay. I am feeling very lonely and depressed on account of my husband.
You don't like your husband?
Oh, I love my husband. Oh, I just love him bushels and pecks. I mean, everybody does. You might know him because y'all worked at the plant at the same time, Charlie Hager's. But anyway, then he got this injury.
Was it some kind of industrial accident?
No, it was much, much more terrible than that. I mean, it's really just, it's kind of an embarrassing injury. It's the kind that really could make your hair curl. So it's real hard to talk about it because I don't know you that well.
But I'm an objective professional, Mrs. Haggers. I don't make moral judgments. And having heard just about everything there is to hear about human behavior, I can promise you I won't be shocked. So you just tell me what's on your mind.
That's nice to know that you wouldn't be shocked because I'll tell you the present condition that my mind is in at this moment is just about to make me go out of my ever-loving.
I'm sure you'll keep your very pretty head in perfectly fine fettle.
Well, I fiercely love my darling husband, fiercely. But, unbeknownst to me, I somehow got involved with another man. Now, I know this sounds tacky, and I hope it doesn't shock you too much.
Of course not, Mrs. Haggers. A lot of people are torn by sexual infidelity.
Oh, well, I didn't have no sexual infidelities to another man. Nope, wouldn't do it. No carnal transgressions of any sort. But see, the problem is that I kind of led this other man on, and because he was attracted to my, darling young body, I didn't realize that what it was doing to his easily warped mind.
I can understand that.
So anyway, what happened is, now I'm going to leave out the lusting and the crying part. When he found out, my husband that is that I was at this motel, see, with this other man, and it was totally for religious reasons that I was there. Anyway, with this other man, whose name I will not mention because you might want to vote for him, he come running over there with a shotgun.
Is he jealous by nature?
No, not too bad. It's just that, he wanted to protect my firm young flesh because I was about to be raped.
I hear what you're saying.
So, anyway, we was at the motel and he had the shotgun. And see, on account of the fact that I did not want him to be later on arrested on a first-degree murder type charge, I come rushing over there to get that shotgun out of his hands, and it accidentally went off, and it hit Charlie. And it hit him in a horrible, dreadful place for Charlie's character.
Where was he shot, Mrs. Haggard?
Well, that is the shocking part.
He's blind. He'll never walk again.
No, he walks just fine.
Mrs. Haggers, I'm a doctor. You can tell me whatever it is. I can't be shocked.
Well, let me just put it the way Charlie put it. He was shot in the one place that any man would rather be shot any other place but then.
You mean?
That's precise and exact what I mean.
Well, you can't mean shot off.
Half off. See, he's still got half of it left.
Do you mean to tell me that your husband lost a testicle because you were in a motel room with another man?
Getting raped. But, see, the thing of it is, I was extremely naive. Very, very naive, because I thought that I was there just because of his musical and religious interest in my soul.
Mrs. Haggers, I have heard of women who've caused their husbands to lose their jobs, and women who've caused their husbands to lose their friends. But a woman who causes her husband to lose a testicle in a motel room? That has got to be the most appalling. That is so disgusting. I mean, there are limits, Mrs. Haggers. Of course, I should have known better. Mary Hartman called me about this case. I have struck out twice with the Hartmans, and now the side is very definitely retired. You'll have to excuse me, Mrs. Haggers. I think I'm going to be sick.
Well, wait a minute, Doc.
Hey, Garth. How are you? Mind if I join you?
No, there's plenty of room.
Hey, listen, I'm sorry about what happened between you and Merle.
Oh, that's forgotten.
Yeah, that was really a lousy thing for him to do.
Yeah, but you know, if you look at it from a certain angle, it's kind of funny.
That's very funny. Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? Hey, will you stop that? You're eating away an eighth of your flesh there. What are you doing?
Oh, it's just a habit I have. It's all right.
What do you mean a habit? You're going to get cancer if you keep doing that. Skin cancer. That's a very terrible habit.
You know, Hartman, I think I'm going to have to ask you to leave the table.
Hey, Garth, look, I know how you feel. I'm really sorry that you lost your job with Merle. I'm sorry.
Don't care about the job. To me, jobs are just a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
I can do anything I want to in this world. I've got the appearance.
Yeah.
I've got the personality.
Yeah.
And I've got the talent to do whatever I want to. You understand what I'm saying, Tom?
Yeah, I understand.
One opportunity, Tom. Who cares about one opportunity?
Yeah.
Whatever I want to do, I'm going to rise to the top of it.
Yeah.
Is that, you understand?
Yeah, I understand.
What, did you just come in here to disagree with me?
Wait a minute, will you? Enough is enough. I mean, you're practically eating yourself up. I mean, practically and literally. Even before I sat down. Hey, look, if you don't want me to talk to you, fine. I don't
Tom, please sit down.
Okay.
It's not the job I care about. It's that son of a bitch, Merle Jeter. I made him what he is today. And now I'm out of my ear. And to me, that is just not the American way.
Hey, look, Garth, look, I know how you feel. I know it's rough. And I know it's a bad break, but try to be optimistic.
Optimistic? Don't hand me that optimistic stuff just because they took you into the Optimist Club, Tom.
Well, look, you know, one of the JC sponsor me. One of the things about being an optimist is that you look at the real.
Who gives a damn? God, I thought at least a fellow man would be able to understand what it is I'm going through. Not like my wife, not like Pat. I'd like to see you explain to her that it's not my fault that I lost my job with Merle Jeter.
What'd she say? It's your fault?
She didn't have to. It's in her eyes, the way she looks at me. She just sits around the house and stands around the house looking at me, and I can read it in her eyes like a book.
Well, maybe you're reading her wrong.
Never. And you have your nerve telling me I would read my wife wrong? I know her better than anybody. I know her better than she knows herself. I've lived with her for 15 years, Tom. 15. 1-5 big ones. And you're asking me if I read her wrong.
Hey, look, Merle, look, I don't want to get personal, but do you mind if I ask you a very personal question? Do you mind?
Hey, listen, you've done everything else to upset me this evening. What is it?
Well, Mary and I were kind of wondering, you know, I mean, kind of wondering if you, push Pat around.
Are you asking me if I hit my wife?
Oh, no, I wasn't, yes.
Well, the answer is no, Tom. I'm not saying that I don't get mad at her. I'm not saying that when I get mad at her, I might make like a threatening gesture of some sort. I'm not saying that sometimes that gesture might come a little close, you know. But I'm not saying that sometimes that gesture wouldn't turn into, you know, kind of like a leave me alone kind of shove, that kind of thing. But I wouldn't say no.
Well, look, Garth, I mean, when you give her one of those leave me alone shoves, I mean...
The simple shove?
Yeah, does she ever fall down?
Oh, I know. You're asking that because you've seen her after some of her accidents.
Yeah, you know, I mean, there had been some marks, you know, around her eyes and on her arm and on her face. And...
Wow. You're a pretty good student of anatomy, aren't you? Hey, what are you doing looking at my wife so close for anyway?
Well, look, Garth, I couldn't help it.
Hey, the hell you couldn't. Hey, did you ever lech after her, Tom?
Hey, come on, will you? Hey, you're turning this whole thing all around. I mean, I sit down here because you're unhappy and I think I can help you. And I ask you a couple of personal questions because I'm interested. And now all of a sudden you start accusing me of leching after your wife? Hey, Garth, damn it, you are a very hard man to get to know. I mean, really.
Then why bother? Why get to know me? Why don't you join the Merle Jeter Club? He never got to know me either. You know, I think he's going to make the worst mayor this town has ever seen, this little duckbird town. I will bet you he does not even shut down the prostitution in this town.
What prostitution?
Are you kidding me? It's everywhere. There's $2 worth right there.
Oh, hello, Sonny. Tell me something funny.
That's not a prostitute. That's my mother-in-law. Mom, what are you doing here?
I feel so fancy. Would you like your cuffs resting on the shoe or breaking on it?
I haven't felt this tasty since I got married to Loretta. In fact, I feel tastier. When I got married to Loretta, I was wearing my brother Harold's suit, and he forgot to press it, and the lining was all torn.
Do you want your cuff resting on the shoe or breaking on it? What? The cuff. Do you want it resting on the shoe or breaking on it?
I don't know what in the world you're talking about.
Trousers have cuffs, Mr. Haggers. Cuffs are on the ends of trousers. They are folded
Are you trying
cloth
to
rolled up.
make fun of me?
I know, I'm merely trying to explain.
I don't need any total stranger explaining to me like I didn't have the brains of a cow what cuffs on a trousers are.
I'm terribly sorry, sir. But we do get back again to the question of the cuff, about which you know everything. Do you want it resting on the shoe or breaking on the shoe?
Do what you think I should have. I won't care. Go ahead, do what you want with the cuffs. I mean, I don't think that 2 persons in 100 notice your cuffs anyway. I mean, they look at your face, right? I mean, that's what we all do, is we look at people's faces.
Oh, hey, Charlie, I think I found the perfect tie for you. Hey, this reminds me of Sicily, huh?
Hey, that's just beautiful, Sue. That is beautiful. That looks like a rainbow that has been garbled up by a high wind.
Yeah. It's all right,
I feel like a mail-order bride. That's what I feel like. Wait till Loretta sees this, she'll fall to pieces.
Hey, clothes make the man, huh? And then the man makes the woman. Whoa, hey, wait a minute. I just made a joke up over there, huh?
That's a good joke. That's a good joke.
No, but I mean, I made this up right now. I just made it up.
Yeah,
right
I know how you feel. I know how you feel. Sometimes I say something, too, and it just makes me think how smart I am. It's nice to feel smart, huh?
It beats throwing up. Oh, hey, no, hey, wait a minute. Hey, 2 in a row. How about that? I never did that before.
Hey, you're on a roll, Sue. You're on a roll. Hey,
all right, it's all right.
I cannot tell you how good this suit makes me feel.
Really?
I can't get over it. You don't know what this is doing for my esteem.
Yeah.
Boy, I tell you, I haven't felt this good since I found out I wasn't going to have the surgical transplant.
Yeah, wait a minute. There's one more thing you need that's going to make you feel even better. Manuel, you want to bring on the new stud line?
Oh,
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes? Yes.
Okay, Charlie. Hey.
What is the new stud line?
Huh?
That isn't one of them bikinis, them French bikini bathing suits. Is it like we saw in the window? I mean, that thing didn't look like anything more than a little piece of colored spaghetti. I don't know how a man expects to hide his private parts behind a piece of spaghetti.
Oh, well, hey, in your case, Charlie, it would be even easier than most people, huh? Hey, now, wait a minute. That's 3. 1, 2, 3,
That
right
ain't
there.
funny, Sue.
No, wait.
It ain't funny,
Oh.
Sue. You lost your role.
Oh, wait.
No, I mean, if I was grading you, Sue, I would knock off marks from
now.
the other 2.
Oh, take it easy. It's a bad joke. It's all right. Yeah, I'm entitled. You know, I don't get smart that often. Huh?
What is the
All right.
stud business?
Yeah.
That's
What?
it's not a contraceptive, is it?
Charlie, I wouldn't make a bad joke like that, would I? I'm your friend, eh? I'm your Goomba.
Here they are.
Here they are.
The natural line, stud line of natural hair toupees.
Toupees? Now, just wait a minute,
Hey,
huh?
relax, Charlie. We gotta complete your whole image here from the top to the
Sue,
toe.
a rug is for walking on. I don't want to wear one on my head.
But no one will notice. The stud line is perfectly undetectable.
By who? A blind bat in broad daylight?
Oh, wait, Charlie, look at it this way. This is gonna take 10 years off your life, and you're doing it for Loretta. Just try one on, okay? Come on. Just try it on.
Just
that's
one,
all.
just one.
Hey.
This is a very popular model,
Yeah.
the 50s cut.
Oh, hey.
Very much on the return today. Notice the back, the classic lines of the now immortal DA or a duck cut.
You look gorgeous, Charlie. Look gorgeous here.
I feel like Elvis Presley before his comeback. Haven't you got anything a little less greasy looking?
What is this here?
How about the now look?
The now look?
Yes, Mr. Haggers?
Let me
try
see.
this.
Let me see, you know. I don't know. Hey, you look
Well,
like
wait
Jennifer Jones with a mustache.
If this is the now look, I'd rather have yesterday.
Yesterday?
Yeah.
Why didn't you say so in the first place? This is our most popular model.
Yeah.
The Ronald Reagan Provincial.
Ooh.
Hmm?
What do you think, Sue?
I don't know. Looks authentic.
Well, it should. With all the Ronald Reagans, we start with white-haired wigs, and we tint them with Clairol brown to give them that touched-up look. Why, I even wear one myself.
Oh,
See?
Hey, what's with the thing up here?
So Mary comes over to Loretta to help her cheer up a bit. It is kind-hearted but completely misinformed. What Loretta seems to need, if you ask me, is for someone to sit with her quietly. And we know that Mary can't do that because she, when there's silence, gets uncomfortable, at least from my estimation. But she wants to figure out one of the 7 ways to get better. I don't know how many ways. I lost track because, Reader's Digest condensed things. But that leads to the suggestion of Dr. Gilroy, who Mary correctly describes as having done nothing good for her or Tom. And I was surprised that he was even mentioned, to be honest. I feel like we haven't seen him since just after the affair with May Alinsky. If you haven't seen that, then you got some catching up to do. But yeah, he is known for not being able to listen at all. I do feel like some counseling could be helpful for Loretta, but Bob Gilroy, as we see, just doesn't seem to have the stomach to listen to anything. And that's what happens in the scene. He puts on his supportive face, he puts on his brave face, and then, of course, there's not much to say here because it's just watching this bit with Bob Gilroy saying, please just tell me what's going on. And then as soon as you tell him what's going on, he leaves the room in disgust. That is the Bob Gilroy bit, everyone. That's don't forget to tip your waitress on the way out. Yeah. Another bit of listening happens in the next scene at the Capri Lounge as Tom approaches Garth to console him about losing his job, and Garth is angry and more outwardly violent, or at least displaying more violence than we typically would see him do in public. And Tom digs into Pat and Garth's relationship to find out if there is actual violence going on. Of course, Garth denies it, although he is fairly threatening here, so I wouldn't take him at his word. Mainly, Garth is angry, and it seems like he's thinking of revenge against Merle. At the very least, he's angry with Merle. He didn't necessarily say that there was a specific plan, but it felt like that was what was on the stove, what was boiling. And then we get Charlie probably in New York, because that's where Sue comes from, or New Jersey, getting suited up. And of course there's a bit about how the cuffs should meet the shoe. Awkwardness potential. I think that was what that scene was for. And speaking of awkward, they pull out the stud collection. And in the 70s and 80s, other than, I want to say, Telly Savalas, maybe Yul Brynner, virility was seen as having a full head of hair. And speaking as a person who has mostly hair, some balding spots, but so many looks have come since then. I feel like the clean shaven bald head is much more fashionable now than it was then. You had to be a special person back in the 70s to shave your head. And I don't mean, crazy necessarily, but there were specific people who were seen that could pull it off. As I mentioned, Telly Savalas or Yul Brynner. Those would have been the popular names that people would recognize. I couldn't imagine this in the very long-haired 70s. Yeah, this was the first time I've heard Ronald Reagan mentioned in the show. I mean, he was clearly an actor that was very famous for his Bedtime with Bonzo series and probably lots of other things. And he was starting to make political waves. I imagine at this point he would have been governor, and I don't feel like looking it up because I don't want to talk about Reagan. But the hair, and it's just silly. I don't expect him to wear it, but maybe we should see him wear it and see how people react. But I should point out that Loretta really does dig the baldness. So making Charlie feel good is important. Obviously, he needs to feel good about himself. I don't think his baldness had anything to do with the lack of self-esteem he was feeling, if that's what we will call it. So everyone, that is our midweek episode. Thank you so much for watching with me, sharing your feelings down in the comments. Thank you for being here, and we will see you tomorrow night in Fernwood.